This is my first hard enduro race ever, the 2020 Bad Medicine Fallen Timbers in Ohio. I'm riding my Husqvarna FC450, which is fairly modified to make it work a lot better in the woods. So it's not a motocross bike anymore, but it's still, I found out pretty quickly it's not the ideal tool for doing a hard enduro. The idea behind this was that I would run this race in July to get ready for Tennessee Knockout, which I had signed up for, maybe not fully understanding what I was getting myself into. And of course now as I'm looking back at this video, TKO is already complete, so definitely went into this not realizing just how hard it was going to be, and really wasn't ready in Ohio. I'm so glad that I did this. You know, even stuff that should have been very obvious to me wasn't. Like, I just had dirt bike tires on the bike. Everybody else had like a Kenda Ibex or like the Jeep version of Shinko 525 cheater tire or something like that, one of the really gummy tires. And they had tons of traction. Thank goodness it was dry. This was the like a prologue race, so they had it wasn't even a very long loop. I think it took me 9 minutes to finish the first loop. It was, you know, a couple miles maybe. No, it would have been maybe a mile. Probably a half mile. Really, the speeds were super low. And looking at this video, I'm used to hare scrambles and hare scramble speed. And watching this video, it's way slower because I'm trying to ride fast, not trying to like conserve energy. The attitude is just totally different when it comes to hard enduro. So, you know, I had enough energy to wrestle the 450 around for the 9 minutes of the first race, and actually managed to get second in B class somehow. I think I was just able to find ways around bottlenecks. Now, it didn't go quite that well for the later races, but the first one I was really kind of surprised by how it went. My technique and line selection was, as you can see as I get stuck in this little ravine thing, was not what it could have been. I did a lot of paddling. My legs and my hips got really tired. Just, I'm a tall guy, and bending my legs out like that was kind of a nightmare for me. The 450 is fuel injected, so it ran pretty well the whole time. I've got the big flywheel on it, the big stator, so it can run the fan all the time, and it's geared down. I've got the wide ratio gearbox out of the EXC bikes on it. So I had a little bit of lower gearing. I thought it was going to be plenty low enough. Like, I never use first gear on this bike. And this race was so tight that I was abusing the clutch in first gear at times. For Tennessee Knockout, I actually geared it down even more, of like a 1350 sprocket setup on it. I did not ever overheat the bike, and I was very close. The fan ran constantly. I was running 210, 220 degree coolant all the time, according to that Trail Tech gauge, but it never did boil over. A lot of this race was side hill and off camber stuff, so as I'm picking my way through here, like, you can see where people have blown this corner. I just it's a 260-pound bike full of gas, and I didn't want to have to pick it up. I knew there was other races coming, and it was all just about trying to conserve energy. This being my first hard enduro, my confidence also wasn't maybe where it could have been on some of this. Like, I'm sitting here watching the guy in the KDX. You know, this was dry. There was some grip in that creek bed. I should have just stood up and attacked it. But by this point, I was already arm pumped. I was already breathing hard. It's amazing how much it takes out of you when you're trying to hang onto a bike way too tight, even for 5 or 10 minutes. I hadn't actually been to a hard enduro before this. I've done some trials riding on my TY350, but the cool thing about these hard enduro races is they are great spectator races, a lot the same way that trials is. The courses don't have to be super long, and it's usually more interesting to watch people wrestle through hard terrain than it is blow by at 20 miles an hour in the woods. And I get out on this 2-track, and I should have been blazing here, 450 power. I was so tired already, and it was hot. It was easily 90 degrees out. I knew I had not had the right strategy here and was attacking in a really uncontrolled way. So I was just trying to conserve energy and try to do better in the second race, right? Focus on staying loose. All this stuff is so off camber that it looks like the camera's mounted sideways on my helmet, but those side hills, I was so afraid of dropping the front tire down them. I got lost right here. I was following that red tape along the side. I walked this before the race. I should have known. Should have just blasted right through there. It's interesting what you see looking back at these after the fact, saying, okay, I could have done this, could have done that. Always something to learn. I'm in first gear for all this, and I'm beating on the clutch. I got the clutch pulled in all the time. It was interesting. It's kind of a different mindset. Like, with a hare scramble, the speed is so high that you just kind of, you slam into stuff and, go for it. What I didn't realize until really the second and third races of the Bad Medicine Hard Enduro was the mentality's different. Like, you gotta take your time and pick a good line, and because it's so easy to get stopped and hung up and stuck, that if you can just keep moving, that'll do more for you than carrying an extra 2 or 3 miles an hour of speed through a corner. Even through this tire section right here, like, I could have stood up and gone through it. I've never ridden over a tractor tire before, so it was kind of new to me, but it ended up being that methodically picking my way through it, and just, I'm just going to try to get over everything. Just try not to get stuck, try not to drop the bike, and, second place in the prologue race, I'd say it worked out pretty well.